Welcome to Inspired Edinburgh, powerful conversations helping you reconnect with your purpose. I'm Elliot Reeves and my guest today is Kirk Pickstone. Kirk is an entrepreneur, speaker, business mentor, group leader at 4 Networking and host of the Duggystone radio show and podcast. After discovering you were dyslexic at 44, your mission is to encourage more dyslexics to become entrepreneurs and change the way that dyslexia is perceived. Absolutely fantastic. Kirk, it's a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the show.
To be honest with you, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. I mean, I've looked at a few of your shows and I've seen a few speakers and to be sat in this chair is absolutely wonderful. Wonderful.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. That's very, very humbling and very kind of you to say.
No, it's good. I mean, I can't believe I'm here. You know what I mean? I couldn't believe you said come up. I was like, whoa, wow, that's, you know, it's what I want, but it was like, what, he wants me to come up? That's great.
Excellent. Well, I'm really looking forward to getting to know you a bit better and hear about your story and then sort of pry a little deeper, perhaps. We'll see how we do.
Yeah.
So it would be super if we could start by hearing about your background, you know, where you're from originally, and I suppose to some extent your kind of education as well.
Right, okay. Well, it depends how far you want to go back, because I've been on this planet 51 years, so there's quite a lot.
Okay.
There's quite a lot happened. So I suppose you want do you want from school or do you want?
I'm happy to let you decide.
Okay then. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. Like a lot of people, there's a couple of things that I can remember, and and I didn't know at the time I was dyslexic, but I remember being in the first year at school and speaking. In English, you used to have to stand up and speak out loud.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if they still do it now. Well, that's what you used to do. Sure. And the book was Watership Down. Still remember it now. And when it started getting to me, I'd start to clam up. My hands would sweat and feel physically sick. And that's because I'd be frantically reading the words on the page to try and assimilate them and make sure I was, reading them. So that's way back when. That's 11-year-old. I come from a normal working class background in Manchester, Salford, a little place called Eccles. You might know it. They make cakes.
Yes, yeah.
And I think, like a lot of people, and you come from that sort of background. I come from a working class background. You do a job, you save up, you go out at the weekend, you go on holiday, and all that sort of stuff. And I fell into that typical mould. I become a butcher because that was something I was already doing when I was at school as a butcher's boy, and it was logical, it was easy to go into that, and I enjoyed it. And then from there, I did go to college, and I'm a qualified butcher, so that's quite an interesting one. That's a tick. That was hard, but I've got that as a tick. So all my vegan friends don't particularly like that, but there you go. That's one of those things. Hey, it's life, isn't it? Yeah. And then from there, my career, I sort of ended up, from a bit of chance, a bit of luck or whatever, however you want to say it, I ended up getting into supply chain and logistics. Okay. So everyone's sat home watching, they're probably getting a cup of coffee or whatever. That's come on a truck from a warehouse somewhere, and someone has had to work out how that's all going to happen. Well, that's what we did. That's the sort of thing I did. I did that for quite a long time, but I really enjoyed doing that job and working in those environments, and I was always sort of got a hunger for learning things. So whenever there was any training, so do you want to go on this training? Yes, I want to go on that training. Or I started off as an order picker, so I'd assembled orders for people, and then foreman's jobs came up. I call them foreman, so a supervisor, but at the time it was called a foreman. Okay. And this is quite a good one for people, I think, because I remember at the time, I think I was getting, it was 1980s, I got another £5 a week to be a foreman, and everyone said, "You're stupid. Why are you doing that job? All that responsibility for £5 a week more. Not a lot of money, is it?" But I wasn't doing it for the money. I was doing it because I had a passion and a drive to go somewhere and be something and do something. So the £5 was irrelevant, it was just, And then so what I did from there, I did the stock control jobs or the foreman's jobs, because my aim is I wanted to become a warehouse manager. I wanted to run a warehouse. That was, to me, that was like pinnacle. Yeah. And I surpassed that. I ended up, Zoom years later, I ended up being a senior leader within global businesses.
Wow.
You know, global cement businesses where it's called Cemex now. I was responsible for like 55% of UK cement deliveries, you know, on various platforms and various teams. And so that, and within that, I did something like an internal MBA, which scholars their cement program. That's a 12-month program with 110, 150 executives from all over the globe, you know, from Mexico, Spain, wherever, you name it, we had all together.
Mm-hmm.
So this is sort of, I'm educating myself within the business environment for business purposes. But, and that role, I'd got to a position in that business where I couldn't grow anymore because the opportunities above were very restrictive.
Yeah.
And that business was very restrictive because in the UK we only did the stuff we did in the UK, didn't do it anywhere else in the world. So to grow, I'd got to the ceiling where I could grow in that business, but I was still hungry. I still wanted to progress. I still wanted to go somewhere further. I want to push as far as I can. I always said I'll push myself to the point where I feel like I've run out of ability to do that role,
yeah.
or the business, or someone says you've reached your limit. I'll just keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I left that organisation and went working for another global business, and this is where things start to change for me, because I'd gone from where I found a true ability to motivate and develop teams of people, constantly improve what we was doing. That's what my job was really as a manager, as a leader. Mm-hmm. Constantly reevaluate what we do, constantly keep changing all the time, to a business where I'd gone from that to sort of wanted that but didn't want that, and I was doing a lot more report writing and a lot more reports for the business. This is what we're up to this month, this is what we've achieved, etc. A lot of written format which I'd not previously done mm-hmm. in my other roles. Never really had to do much report writing. It was all presentations and spreadsheets and graphs and facts and figures. So this is where a lot of dyslexics, a lot of older dyslexics experience what I experienced, where they get to the point where people start challenging them over their writing and how they're communicating. So mine was the wrong use of words like where instead of were and there instead of there. I think I'm just about getting it now. I'm 51. I think I'm still just about getting with it. Mm-hmm. And I was missing lines up in lines of text in emails and reports, because although I'd read it back and the words would be missing, I'd read it back and the words in my head, the words would be there. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's an interesting phenomenon. Yeah. And then I was getting criticised. I was getting a lot of flack about it. I was getting, and there was other things going on within the organisation with people. You know, when you're in a corporate environment, everyone's clambering for position, and mm-hmm. I'm a person that, well, how can I help you? You know, and let's be quite open. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't really like that environment. Didn't really like what was happening. The culture was totally against everything that I liked and I wanted to do. And I sort of got really frustrated with this writing and this criticism. I was like, well, why can't I get it? Why can't I get it right? What is it that's missing? Why can't I do it? You know. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine, or a friend of ours, who's now a teacher, said, I think you should go and get tested for dyslexia. So I thought, at the time I was 44, I thought, dyslexic? I'm not dyslexic. I've got to this point in my career and I'm quite successful. I can't be dyslexic. I can read, I can write, and it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. So when I got tested, and I discovered I was dyslexic at 44, which was a really emotional experience coming out of the centre when I've been tested. Mm-hmm. But it was like a relief rather than an upset. It was like, right, that is why I am like I am. Mm-hmm. That is why I've done what I've done. That's why I've struggled with certain things, and that's why I've done a particular thing. It explained everything for the last 44 years before. So, and then you want to talk about education. So that's where this discovery happened.
Yes.
So,
and so I was just going to say quickly there, I mean, how was it that you were able to go so long without it being recognised?
Well, the thing is with dyslexics, and and people within the rest of the spectrum, because it's on a spectrum, is you naturally put coping strategies in, even subconsciously or knowingly put these coping strategies in to get over things. So you're doing that throughout your life. So you can imagine you've tried to cope with various things, and I just always looked at people and thought, I'm not as intelligent as you. I'm not intelligent as that person. It's my ability. So, but you just put coping strategies in to deal with things. And if you think a lot of my jobs as well up to that point, I didn't have to do a lot of writing. Does that make sense? So
Yeah,
I didn't have to do a lot of butcher shop. I didn't have to do much writing. I had to do some signs on the windows and things like that. But they were things that you knew, and you knew the words of and things like that. And then in my other jobs, I didn't really have to do a lot of writing. So you just cope with it. I think you just put coping strategies in place really, and carry on.
Yeah.
So that's brings us to a really good point where I discovered this was happening. I'd got very depressed at work, really, really, really depressed because things were going on, and this dyslexia and the way I was being treated, to the point where, we spoke about before with your mum, and I got upset. My wife got upset. Get upset. Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right.
You might have to cut that. I have to cut that out, don't. Yeah. So I'd got to this point where I couldn't carry on, and I remember talking to my wife in the kitchen at home and saying, she said, "It's all right, love. You only got to last another couple of years," because we had plans to start a business. And I said, and I just broke down. I said, "I can't last 2 weeks. Never mind 2 years. I cannot. I just can't. I can't face this anymore. I can't do it." I didn't want to go out of the house. I didn't want to go to work. I said at that point I would never ever work for anyone else again in my life, and I won't. I will never work for anyone else again. So at 44, Sandra my wife put some of her stuff on hold. Still carried on doing her studying, but went to do contracting through our business. So we're doing a contracting role, and she's still doing that now, and she's amazing for what she does for us. So I actually quit my job. There was a potential coming up for redundancy. I said, "I'm leaving. That's it. Give me a redundancy. I'm going." And then I started my business, which is Duggystone, and which was weird because I didn't think I'd want to do anything, but it's crazy. And then I thought, what am I going to do? What should I do? I wanted to find a way, or I wanted to stop people experiencing what I'd experienced, because there must be thousands. And I also want to stop people getting to that point in the first place to feel like I did at 44 or whatever, 30, whatever the age is. So this opportunity came up to go to Coventry University with some European funding. And I thought, I'll go and do it. It's a postgrad, but they're never going to have me. They're never going to have me. I've got no formal qualifications. I've got loads of business qualifications. I've got like an internal MDA, I've got a CPC, I've got all these internal business qualifications. But they had me on my experience, because it was an entrepreneur school. Yeah. So they said, "Well, we'll have you for a postgrad, not a problem." So we was doing the postgrad, and then they decided at the end of the first year, they told us we're not going to graduate. So it was like, "Well, what have we done wrong?" "No, we're going to turn it into a master's degree." So I'm sitting there going, scratching my head, I still scratch my head now. I'm dyslexic, I'm 44, and I'm going to do a master's degree in global entrepreneurship. How's this happening? Yeah. I absolutely loved going to uni. It was it wasn't a full-time, it was a part-time one. We'd go every couple of months for 3 or 4 days, and then do our assignments, go back. I just loved it, absolutely. I was so hungry for it, even though I struggled with it, and I had to put myself in a quiet room to study and do my work. I absolutely loved it. And and then I graduated in 2012.
That's brilliant.
Which was, it's
brilliant.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just never ever if you'd have told me 10 years ago you'd be doing what I'm doing now, and I'd have got a master's, I'd just laughed at someone. I laughed at them.
Yeah.
I said they were crazy.
I hope this doesn't come off as being, lacking empathy, because I don't want it to. But I mean, how is it that you'd be able to attain as many qualifications as you have whilst having dyslexia? How did you overcome that? And were there any, I suppose, like allowances made in order, or any aids to help you?
What, a university?
At uni, yeah.
See, that is a really good misconception, because because the written word is put in quite high regard. I mean, the written word, to be honest, is not really, it's quite a new phenomenon. In the history of mankind, it's quite a new phenomenon, isn't it? And I've said a few things like, you know, who were the people way back when, back in ancient Rome or ancient Greece, that were building these amazing buildings and the geometry and all the rest of it? I'd as a guess they're probably dyslexic. You know what I mean? I've no proof because I can't. I wish I could go back in time and see, because they probably would be. Right. So I might digress there, but I'm trying to make a point that there's no relationship between intelligence and dyslexia. And in fact, the majority of people, when they get tested for dyslexia, come either above average, average or above average in intelligence. So to answer your question about the stuff that I was doing at uni, my intelligence is there. I might get some words mixed up, I might get some words wrong, but the intelligence is in there so that I can actually. I used to struggle with getting things down that I wanted to put on paper or type out, but I've got better at it as time has gone on. But anyway, I could get the gist of what I wanted to say or what I was doing from my thoughts and from what I'd researched and my experience. And what I did to help me along with that, I gave it to another person to proofread. So the person that proofread it wasn't changing it, but they'd actually say, that bit doesn't, what was you trying to say on that bit there? It doesn't really make sense. I don't get it, because she didn't know the subject. So for her, it was great.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers the question.
It does, yeah, definitely.
So the spelling might not be brilliant, and I use a system now that checks me grammar as I'm typing and checks me spelling. So my spelling, if I started writing things out now, my spelling would be atrocious and what have you, I'd mess it up.
Well, I mean, I have to be honest, I didn't know an enormous amount, and I don't know that many people know that much about dyslexia, because it's not something that's probably discussed that much, and that's, I suppose, is why you're trying to now raise awareness of it, but also, encouraging people who have it to go into entrepreneurship. And I can now, having done a bit more research on it, I can now understand why. Now, I looked at the people who had, some of the people in history who have had dyslexia, and you have Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, Walt Disney, Winston Churchill, Richard Branson, just absolutely like some of the greatest minds of all time.
And I use some of them when I do some of my speaking, because I give them as examples that, these are all very highly respected people in their particular fields. You've got people like Jennifer Aniston, who's just come out, I call it the dyslexic closet. She's just come out of the dyslexic closet, It's the new closet to come out of. The other ones are all done and dusted now, it's not a problem. So it's right though, isn't it? Eh? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so but yeah, it's. And all people always say Richard Branson. I go, oh, yeah, Richard Branson. Everyone knows Richard Branson, but it's great that they know him, isn't it?
Yes.
But yeah, there's some phenomenal people, because when I did my research, and I know from my own point of view, you can knock me down and I'll get back up, and you can knock me down and I'll get back up. We're resilient, and if you've got confidence and you've got a mentor, you've got someone helping, your mind's waiting for me downstairs. So you've got that person that's giving you the support. It's great. Yeah, some really good, really key people.
But I mean, to the extent that, I mean, I actually, just purely out of curiosity, I googled what are the advantages of being dyslexic, and there actually are, it lists things that dyslexic people have advantages over normal people. And this is the whole issue again. It's like what is normal based on what metrics?
Nothing. I mean, I went to a neurodiversity seminar the other day, and we're all neurodiverse. All of us, aren't we? All of us, because we're all different. No one's the same. You two fingerprints on a piece of paper, they're all different. So is everybody else. Everyone's brain's different. But the advantages, and this is what tends to happen with a lot of things, is everyone looks at the negativity. What's the negative? The negative, you can't read, you can't spell, you can't tie your shoelaces, you don't know left from right, because there's some of the negativities from dyslexia. You double book yourself on dates. You mess things up. I say the wrong words all the time. My wife Sandra started posting things on Facebook, stuff my husband says. I mean, you know what I mean? Because I come out and she just laugh her head off. But I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not doing it deliberately, and that's where people can be misunderstood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone's looking at the negative. Let's look at the positive. Let's look at the positive things.
Yes. And what I've found about it is that people tend to be far more right brain dominant. So they're good at problem solving. They're highly creative. They have an inclination to think outside the box.
Yep.
And alarmingly, about 1 in 5 people suffer from dyslexia, and I think it's about 30% of entrepreneurs.
Correct.
So, and this is, I suppose, why is it you want to see more dyslexic people go into entrepreneurship as opposed to pursuing a conventional career, shall we say?
Why I do?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's perfect, and that's what my dissertation was: are dyslexics predisposed entrepreneurs? Don't ask me to spell it. I've spelled it hundreds of times, and I still get it wrong. And that's what was what got me looking at it was. I went to university and I was, what am I going to do? I really want to do something about dyslexia. And then I started looking at some figures, and in my group of cohorts, there was 9 of us on this course, all doing different things, but all the same thing. And there's about 60% of them were dyslexic. It was like 5 or 6 out of the 9 people were dyslexic.
Wow.
Some of the tutors were dyslexic, and some of the people, I was like, so when I started looking at the stats for the university, the campus, it was the one in, the 10 to 15% because when you go to university or college, you tick, have you got a disability? Yes, I'm dyslexic, tick. But then when I looked at the entrepreneurial school, it was 20 odd to 30. It was like mind blowing, the difference. So that's where I started looking at why, this phenomena, why they gravitate towards it. And when I do any speaking in some of the four-end things I do and some of the business connotations, it's amazing when you start talking and I do my talk on it, the amount of people in the room that will go, I'm dyslexic, my son's dyslexic, and it just like, it just sets it going. So, but the reason I want people to become entrepreneurs is because all the negative things that they're not good at, let's say, is your corporate type business, traditional business thing. If you look at all the negativity, we don't like structure, so that's why if you did some more stats, there's only 3 to 4% of CEOs of large corporations are dyslexic.
I didn't know that.
Because there's a couple of reasons, I believe, or there is. One is companies put tests in to recruit and retain and promote the best people. And those tests that they put in stop dyslexics getting passed because they're very traditional testing. And the second thing is we don't like the control and structure because I want to do things I want to do. But you put me in this job where it's all bureaucracy and red tape and it's frustrating. So dyslexics either don't want to get up, or they can't get up. But because of the traits and the typography of a dyslexic are very similar to an entrepreneur who's a non-dyslexic. The traits and typography are very similar. The problem-solving skills, etc., that you've been talking about. So it makes them perfect to become business owners and to do something for themselves because they can do it their way. I will look at things, and one of the advantages of being dyslexic, and that's where they make good entrepreneurs, is you make links to things that people don't make. Because the information, we work with our active working memory, a bit like a computer having all your stuff on the desktop. So everything's available to us. And I said it to someone that I'm talking to in Holland that I almost call it like Google. It's like a Google brain. Put a search in and if you put just random search in Google, you get a lot of information, wouldn't you? Yeah. That's what it's like. So you put a search in about something and this information comes to you. So the classic one that I always use is someone like Steve Jobs. So if you look what Steve Jobs did with the innovation, there's not been much innovation since he's passed, has there? No. But the iPod, iTunes, all those mind-blowing technologies that he developed, I believe, come from his dyslexic mind and his way of looking at the world and making links. You know, why do we have a phone and a computer? Why don't we put a phone and a computer together? Actually, why don't you be online all the time? Because 10 and so years ago, we wasn't online all the time, was we?
That's right. Yeah.
So they're predisposed to be entrepreneurs. Not everyone will be an entrepreneur. Not everyone will fit in. I'm not saying every dyslexic will be a business owner. That'd be bonkers. But there's more of them should be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. So how would you like dyslexia to be perceived by people? I mean, I know that it's I mean, I think it's referred to as a disability, right? I mean, that seems a little bit ludicrous / out there. So how would you like it to be perceived?
I would not like it to be. I won't be careful because I've got my own thoughts, and I think things need to change. When it comes under the Disability Work Act 2010, I get it. I understand that because people need to be protected. So you can't abuse people or you can't whatever, you know, people. So I sort of get the rationale behind that, because if someone's a dyslexic at work and then they get mistreated and they're not given the right tools or, you know, systems, then that's wrong. But as soon as you label something a disability, you're saying to the individual. So if I said to you, you're disabled, we're classing you as being disabled. You think, I'm disabled, I've got something wrong with me. So the person next to you goes, oh, he's disabled, something wrong with him. It's got a negative connotation. And it also comes under learning difficulties, on the spectrum of learning difficulties. So straight away you've got two very negative phrases: learning difficulty and disability. I don't think it should be classed as that. Because I personally think it's an advantage, and a lot of people will be watching this, they have kids that have got and go, no, it's not, it's, you know, my child's not coping, it's this, that and the other. We just don't fit into the system. There's a system here that we want to push you all in. This box that you go into for 10 years, and because 90% of you, 80% of you can cope with it, that's how we're going to do it. And the way I like to refer to it sometimes to people is, we don't look at little Johnny playing the piano in music and go, gee, oh, he can't play the piano as good as Lucy. Do you know what? He's got a he's music disabled, isn't he? He's got a music disability. How can we get Johnny playing the piano as good as Lucy? But Lucy might be a natural piano. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
absolutely.
So why do we put this massive thing on reading and writing? Because that's what we're breaking it down to. We're breaking it down to, and some communication. But fundamentally, we're breaking it down to reading and writing. That I've got disability. It's just nuts. But then go to NASA or wherever, that they've got a lot of autistic people and dyslexics working on all these problem solving. Well, it doesn't add up, does it? Doesn't make sense. So so we've generated that anyway. That's I could go on and on and on.
No, I think it's a completely warranted rant. And I mean, you know, Albert Einstein himself said, I'll probably kind of paraphrase this, but everyone is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then it will live its life thinking that it's stupid.
And you would, and it saddens and sickens me when it really, really upsets me when I read people or hear people say, oh, I just found out my son's dyslexic or my daughter's dyslexic, like the world's ended. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, don't think of it like that. Don't think of it like that. What I want people to do is, we've got this system, and I sort of agree with it. We've got this system of ability and all the rest of it, reading and writing. You need to be able to read and write as much as you can to make your way around the world, don't you? Or, you know, make sense of things. So what I say is, get your child to a level where they can get to, and then find out there'll be something that child is really into, whether it's music, whether it's sports, whether it's whatever the case may be. Now that could be their pathway to what they want to do and what they want to be when they get older. Because you ask a lot of kids when they're a certain age, there'll be quite a few who will end up doing the thing that they wanted to do when they were younger.
But I suppose nowadays as well, there's so many opportunities for people to do things that don't require them to just, read and write. In terms of creative abilities, you now have I do believe that there's an increasing amount of people that are exploring entrepreneurship or doing their own thing as an option.
Yeah, definitely. And there's the world is moving away, moving more into video, and we're communicating video.
Exactly.
Facebook's going to be virtually all video in the next 12, 18 months. So the written language and everything. So if you've got, I know what a lot of dyslexics have, one of the benefits is they're good at speaking. They can, once they realise they can get the confidence, and they can be confident, they can be very confident. I never used to be really confident. Now I'm quite comfortable with things. So there's an opportunity for people to do, and it's just finding that opportunity. And at the end of the day, you should be here and be happy in what you're doing, shouldn't you? So why try and fit someone into a job or an existence where they're not going to be able, not going to reach the true potential?
Yeah.
It's.
I think the work you're doing is absolutely fantastic. I think it's brilliant.
Thank you.
And now that I suppose I'm a bit more educated about it, I now see it entirely different, and it's kind of a change of paradigm in the way that I see it. And I don't think it's a disability at all.
No, I don't think it is, and that's the whole purpose of what I'm trying to achieve, and with my radio show, my podcast. It's to try and not just promote or encourage dyslexics, but to get to a wider audience. So that's why on my radio show I don't just talk about dyslexia, because the only people that listen to it or tune in would be dyslexics. So I bring adversity into it and business, because they're all the things that I'm interested in anyway. And it brings a wider audience, and then more people go, oh, well, that show's about dyslexia, that was interesting. Does that make sense? So that's the reason. So it's not,
Yeah, no, that was a really nice segue into talking about your podcast, because that's what
cool.
I was now going to move on to. Yeah,
right.
I think you kind of tick those boxes as well. I
want to talk about it, Ivan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to speak to you, I suppose, in more broad terms about podcasting, insofar as, what sort of podcasts do you tend to listen to? Who are some of your maybe influences, if it's something that you are interested in, and what are the sorts of things that you explore on your podcast?
Well, I'll just go back slightly, because there's a whole rationale reason why I did the podcast.
Perfect.
Not just for the message. Well, it was for the reasons for the message, but I'm sat there going, I need to get this message out. I can do some public speaking. I can do this. Right, I could do with. I'll tell you what. I could do with getting on some radio shows. I could do with being video interviewed. I could do whatever. So I'm knocking on doors, banging, ringing people up, and struggling to. Because unless they want you, they don't want you, do they? You know what I mean? There's loads of people ringing the BBC every day, and they try to get on the show.
Yeah.
So I was getting a bit frustrated with this. So I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a dyslexic. So I go, do you know what? If I can't be on someone else's show, I'll create my own. So that's what I did. Created my own. I went onto a social network, Radio Warwickshire. So I thought, well, this is great. But if people come in once a week on a Tuesday night, listen to me, great. But if they don't, or they can't make it, how are they going to hear it? And it's only, you know what I mean? So then I just use the content and put it into a podcast, which is great. And so that's the rationale behind the podcast. That's how it was born. And some of the people I listen to, this is where my dyslexia kicks in. There's a guy that I listen to, Mark Asquith, which I can't think of his podcast right now. Excellence Expected, brilliant guy. There's a couple of people like that I listen to. But my introduction to podcasting was two American guys, and I'll try and think of what it's called. And their podcast is called Ear Biscuits.
Okay.
Listen to it. And what they do is they interview their really famous YouTubers. So they interview other famous YouTubers. What's your story? Where have you come from? How did it begin? And they've virtually all got the same story. It's for one of, they've all started off anyway. So and anything business related and what have you, I'll listen to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'll listen to a few things, and comedy like Ricky Gervais and people like that. I've got a broad spectrum, and it tends to be if I'm in the car, I'll listen to podcasts.
Yeah. I think that's a good place to listen to them.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I found. There's a few people said, "Oh, it's great your podcast," because I commute to work. Because I found someone who's in Canada that we know, and he's like, "I listen to your podcast all the time because
Really?
it's just the ideal commute, 30 minutes, for me to listen to your podcast on the way to work." That's brilliant, isn't it?
It's great, yeah.
It's fun because
And it's had a really, really good uptake since you started it.
yeah, I've got listeners in UK, obviously, USA, Canada, France. Holland, because he interviewed someone in Holland, Ireland, Cyprus, and it's like,
It's amazing.
it's really interesting. And it's still growing, but I can't believe it. Can't believe where it's. I've added Barbados to it, but I do know it was someone who I know was on holiday. But I'm still adding it because I'd say never let the truth get in the way of a good story. So I've got Barbados on my list as well. So,
Fantastic,
yeah.
fantastic. How did you get involved with For Networking?
Oh, that was interesting. And this is the whole thing about networking and what have you. I was working, so going back a bit back. So Sandra's gone working. I said I'd never want to work again. I'm never going to have a job. I'm never going to do anything. So I was on gardening leave for 3 months. Sorry, I'm rewinding back, but it's important. I was rewinding. I'm rewinding now. So I was at home. On garden leave for 3 months. I was going to start university and everything, and I got a phone call saying, "You finished? You finished your job? You've enrolled? Yeah. Are you available? Yeah." So the day after the Monday after the Friday when my gardening leave finished, I started my first contract. So I was working from. I never stopped working. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But working for me. Got you. So to the point where I knew. I mean, I've been to a few places and they've said something or this, that and the other, and I'd say, I don't want to get into the politics. I'm not here to get into the politics. I'm here to do a job. I'm here to change things and I'm out. And you know what? I'll do and say what I need to say, and the only person that can sack me is like 20 or 30 miles away, because if I don't like it, I'll just go. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's anyway. I digress. I forget what I was up to then. What was the question?
For networking.
Oh yeah, for networking. So I've had this contract, and I end up with where. In between, I end up working on my own a lot at home, doing a lot of analytical work. So I'm spending like 4 or 5 days a week on my own at home, which sounds great, but it's not great, is it? Because Sandra's working away in Holland or Cambridge or wherever she's doing a contract 3, 4, 5 days a week, and I was really fed up with this. So this is the only thing I'm speaking to is a 6-year-old Jack Russell. You know what I mean? It's no good, is it? So. Guy that does our pensions and what have you, said, you should go networking. So I ended up going networking. It wasn't for Ed, to get out of the house.
Right. Okay.
So you can meet every fortnight, have breakfast with 15 people. It's great. So that's good. Bit of social activity. I'm missing it. So I didn't want to go to the pub. I wanted to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I started going to that, and then a guy that I know, Todd, has become a really good friend. Does a lot of social media. Todd.
Is that the spaghetti
agency? Yeah, there's a plug for him, mate. Gets. He's how could he even be here with me now? He gets everywhere. So he come along and he said you should come to For Networking. I was like, For Networking? Yeah, come to For Networking. It's great. So I went and I joined, and I never went back to the other one. Even though I was a paid member, I just walked in. Sort of got into it, was like, I belong here. And hence how I'm dressed now has come from that as well.
Really?
So that's how I ended up with 4N. So I was a member, then after a couple of months an opportunity came up where I was networking. The group leaders stood down. We're all volunteers, none of us are getting paid. We do it because we want to do it. So I took the group leaders role on and been doing that for about 12, 18 months.
That's awesome.
Now an area leader, which is a little bit, but
okay.
Yeah, it's good. But from going just to get out of the house, it's just like totally transformed everything I do. My business, my opportunities. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be doing the stuff I'm doing now if it wasn't. I wouldn't have had a radio show. I wouldn't have been doing the public speaking I'm doing. I wouldn't have met the people I've done. It's just,
I was going to say, in what way do you feel it's benefited you? Yeah.
Well, I've learned a lot. I already knew a lot. Does that make sense? I already knew a lot, but I think I was just missing that platform, that place to be. And for me, I could probably go anywhere in the UK and go into a meeting and someone will probably know me in the room. And that's just really strange to think that,
Yeah.
isn't it? That I can go and people know who I am. So yeah, it's given me a lot of confidence. It's given me a platform. I've got great friends. If I've any, and business, it's well worth it. It's been well worth it, and it's more than just getting business.
Yeah.
More than just getting business.
Excellent. Brad will be happy with your selling.
Oh well, yeah. But I do. I love it. I'd go even. Do you know what I mean? Even if something else happened, I'd still go to the phone. I'd still go.
Yeah.
Because I was down in Kew, because we've got a design business. So I was down in Kew last year, on my own in the caravan. Posted a picture on. Guy that I'd only met once, Cross Crosley. I don't know if you've heard of him. Check him out.
Yeah.
If you've not, where are you? That looks familiar. Are you there now? Yeah. Met him once. I've met him once. Why don't you come round for dinner? So I go round for dinner. And I'm sat there eating my dinner. I'm saying, this is nuts. Have I ever met you once? How can I be in your house having a family cooked meal and a natter? And I feel like I've known you for years. And what it gives you is that trust. Because if someone trusts you, then you know what I mean. Like, so if, say, for example, he knew Brad and Brad knew very well. Well, Brad trusted me, and so fair enough. You must be a good guy because Brad thinks you're okay. Or you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it gives you that social. Yeah. There's a social trust with it.
Yes.
With the network.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah. So it's sort of an endorsement for you, isn't it?
Yeah, and also you know that I think also trust is really good because it stops. You can cut to the chase with a lot of things, can't you? I like Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey has another good podcast. Well, it's not a podcast, but an audio book. Mm-hmm. And his son does a thing. Talks about the speed of trust. How the speed of trust, if you've got trust, can reduce cost and increase speed. And if you've got no trust, it puts up cost and slows things down. Great example is 9/11. Since 9/11, what's gone on? The speed of trust has gone down.
Yeah.
Cost of flights go up. It puts lots of infrastructure in. To get on a flight has increased and time, so the trust has gone down. So the cost goes up and the time goes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all that. So yeah, it's more than just putting a bit of cash in your bank. It's everything. It's a sense of belonging. It's good, really good.
Fantastic. That's great. Okay, so it's probably a good time for us to maybe try and go a little deeper, Kirk.
Oh dear.
And get to see who the real you is. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this. The first thing that I'd probably like to start on actually is that you spoke about wanting to really advance your career, and your ambition really kind of came across there, and it was almost like I don't know if you're familiar with the Peter principle, which essentially is like everyone will work up to a point of where they're reaching competence, but you obviously got in certainly in a corporate sense you were able to get pretty high. But where do you think that your drive and ambition came from?
Well, that's a good one. I think the dyslexia one, the dyslexia thing in my head is proving that I'm good, and I always wanted to prove to my parents that I was good. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I was always looking for their reassurance and their what's the word?
Validation.
Their pride.
Their pride, yeah.
And because my dad, I mean, there's nothing wrong with my dad, but he's not very open with his emotions, right?
Okay.
He'll probably watch this. Yeah, he's not very emotional. So I think it's seeking that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the show is very much a way of encouraging people to connect at a deeper level with their passions and their purpose. What do you feel is your purpose?
Doing what I'm doing, and it comes from, and it's another one of those points that a lady I know called Caroline Woodward said to me in 2015. She said, I've met loads of people, Kirk, and I've never felt the need to ask anybody this in 17 years of networking, why was you put on this planet? And I got really emotional.
Oh.
I don't know why. It was like someone had opened a trap door, and I went, because I'm here to change things.
I love it.
And she went, yes, I think you are. And so my purpose on this planet is to do what I'm doing, and nothing's going to stop me. I don't care who comes at me and says me, you know, nothing's going to stop me from it. Nothing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's so inspirational. I love that.
Thanks.
Brilliant. Brilliant. What what would you like your legacy to be?
Oh, my legacy, that's interesting. I think, I don't know really. I think, I don't know, because this might sound really this might sound really bad, but every group, every minority, every group needs a voice, don't they? And there's lots and lots of people around the place talking about dyslexia, this, that and the other, what have you. But I want to be the person that people turn and say, that's what changed dyslexia. He changed, that's what I'd like it to be.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not me being, I don't know what the word is. I'm not trying to be big-headed, I'm not trying to be, does that make sense?
It does, yeah, absolutely.
I truly believe that's it.
Uh-huh. But it's actually, the way that I see that is it's a shame that you have to qualify it by saying, I'm not trying to be big-headed. You should be able to say that without fear of people judging you or thinking that you're being big-headed, if that makes sense.
You look at people like Gandhi as an individual and what, you know, is oppressed and all the rest of it, and he's the voice of 1.3 billion people or whatever it is, you know, it's like, wow, nothing would have stopped him, would they? Nothing would have stopped him on his passion, you know, passion.
Exactly. What are some of your personal values?
Oh. Trust.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Well, it is. I think it's any relationship, once the trust has gone, the relationship's dead. Forget it. Trust. Trust. And I've got very traditional values. It's trust and hard work and helping people and doing things for other people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's, you know, be open. You know, and that's where I get really upset or really annoyed or take it very personally if someone abuses that trust and takes something and does. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not saying take something, don't give back. I'm not doing it to give something back. But when someone takes that trust, then they've actually took something away from you because you've stood there almost open arms, and it's like they've stabbed you in the heart, isn't it, really? You know? Yeah. So, now it's getting a bit deep.
That is a deep. Yeah, you're right. It is deep. I like that. It's good. It shows the real you. It's what people want to see. People want to hear about. How would you describe your life philosophy?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Or your world view.
I don't know what you mean. What do you mean by world view? What I think of the world or me?
Yeah. So what do I mean by your life philosophy? I mean, do you have a general kind of like a mantra or an ethos or a way of approaching life in general, or do you see the world in a certain way?
I try and see the world as the positive, you know, like the half full, half empty and everything. Well, the glass can be refilled for a start, but it's always half full, not half empty. And I think what we need, what's happening in the minute, I mean, I'm really into social media, really like social media. It's got really positive things because we can link and we can get our message out, but it's got very negative things, lots of propaganda, lots of hate. You only got to put it on, there's hatred all the time, and far too many people are looking for hate and anger, all the negative things. People need to step back and start saying, I can't affect that, what's going on or whatever the thing is, and how can I help, how can I affect my world around me, how can I affect that person that's next to me, or that person or that person. And guess what, if everyone did that, what would happen? It'd be wonderful, wouldn't it? It'd be a nice place to live, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So that's my life. I'm sorry I didn't really understand what you meant by that.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent answer. I'm glad I asked you that question, actually. It's really, really good. Really good. How do you define success?
Well, yeah, I suppose up to a point it was probably a big bank account, flash car, and you know, a boat somewhere. But I think being happy in what you're doing, really. I think we need money. Everyone says we're all programmed. We're all obsessed with these images, these icons, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Of these global successful people, of Richard Branson and all the rest of it. My success is being able to, be happy, be safe, and have nice food, like a nice. For me, that's success. That's success for me. It's fine. And in the connotation of what I'm trying to achieve, well, what success is from that. It's quite big. But from a day-to-day point of view, I'm quite happy to live anywhere as long as I've got the person next to me I want next to me, and I can afford to eat, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the basics, really.
Yes.
I think for me, the simple things, if you can, it's time, innit? The only thing we can't replace is time. So for me, it's that time element. How I can enjoy that time, and how much time,
Totally.
the use of the time.
Yeah.
So that's success. And any financial reward you get for it hopefully affords you to do that.
Yeah.
I think that's success.
Yeah. There's majorly too much of an emphasis on trying to attain money and, huge house. Brad.
10-bedroom house and 3 of them wouldn't go in.
Exactly.
Yeah, something like that. Not that, no. I've not watched any of his stuff.
Well, it's a prime example. It is. You don't need that stuff to be happy.
Yeah, it's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice. It's. We live quite comfortable, not extravagant. Not in a mansion or anything. But there's a certain point where, what's doesn't affect you, does it? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yes.
And money's not a motivator. I learned that when I was in corporate world. Money's not a motivator. You've got someone in a role who's doing a job, say 25, 30 grand a year, whatever it is, and they hate this job, it's crap, and the boss comes in and goes, we're giving you a 10 grand pay rise. They go, whoa! And for a split second or about 3 days, they're happy, then this job's crap. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't motivate. Money's an enabler. It enables you to do things. It enables you to be happy. It enables you to go and do things, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. It's enabled me to drive up here, and stay up and come and see you, hasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That's true. Who or what inspires you?
And I sort of thought you were going to ask me this question. And the inspiration, I get inspiration from lots of places. There's a couple of key ones that I would say. Brad. Brad's an inspiration. He is, isn't he? He's got to be. There's another guy I met this year, Jamie Denyer, brilliant guy. Check him out. Crosley. So they're the people up there that I look to, and they're not, not ridiculous famous, but the people that inspire me. And I thought about this because I thought you were going to ask me the question. I was doing video for a disability. There we go. There's that word again. Disability awareness thing. And there's various people in this room, and they all video. I was actually helping doing the video, and I was video as well. And there was a girl there. She was 19, in a wheelchair, and a hunger for life and joy. And she goes night clubbing. She's at university. She gets about. She's like. That's what inspires me. Mm-hmm. Ordinary people who take what they've been given, and even if it's a bad deck, they make it the best hand they can. That's
amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Love it. Super inspiring. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I don't know. I don't know, really. Don't do that. And I did it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know really. It's hard to think of one. Really. I don't know. I don't think, apart from the couple of jokey ones, but don't eat yellow snow.
Yeah, that is good advice.
Yes. I'm not sure really. I'm not sure. I don't know. I can't think of that one. I should have had one for that, shouldn't I? Because I thought, I don't know.
Not sure?
Not sure.
Okay.
Not sure.
That's all right. What would you say are some of your life goals at the moment? What are the things that are on your immediate plate, and what are some of the longer term stuff?
Oh, that's a good one, that, actually, because there's quite a few, as you can imagine. well, you know what I'm trying to achieve, so we've gone over that. And ultimately what I'm trying to do is change people, get to, change the perceptions and encourage people. One of my goals is to increase my business from that point of view and what have you, and build and release Sandra from doing what she's doing, and she'll work in the studio. So that's some of the goals to achieve. I'm looking, what I want to do is start bringing families together, because I believe we need to look at people at a school age. I'm working with people that are an older age, but at school age, so try and build up for want of a better word, a network. So start with groups. I'm in discussion with someone at the minute. So ultimately, around the UK, I'd like to see groups of people meeting who are going to help each other and ultimately get dyslexics people to help and encourage those dyslexics, because I'm only one person. I can't be all over the place, can I?
No.
So I realise that long term, going to need to find a way of getting other people to do something similar I'm trying to achieve, or I'm trying to do, who've got a similar sort of background, or they need to be dyslexic for a start, don't they, really?
Yes.
And build that framework up around where we encourage people and change things. And ultimately, I want to do something within schools, a bit like Jamie Oliver's done, another dyslexic for you.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and guy who did Saturday Kitchen, Richard Martin, is it? He's dyslexic as well. Is it Richard Martin?
James Martin.
James Martin. See, that's one of my biggest problems being dyslexic, is names.
Oh, okay.
He's put his name, remembering names, it frustrates me. So they're dyslexic as well. So do something like Jamie's done in schools and change you know what I mean? So what kids are eating, actually what kids are eating into their head. Can we change that? Let's change it.
And how?
And that'll be tough. That'll be tough because there'll be a lot of backlash from the education. There'll be a big backlash from that. So there's got to be a way of doing it where they accept it as well. So work from outside and then try and work inside.
And so, I mean, what kind of educational reform would you like to see then?
Well, I'd like to see people, because I'm talking to a teacher at the minute, because I'm not a teacher. Yeah, I don't profess to be a teacher. I'm talking to a teacher, or she's a retired teacher, and she's talking about systems, putting different systems in for kids. So where everybody learns a different way, don't they? So as an example, if I wanted to learn to do something, and I give this example a lot, I built a pizza oven in the back garden. I've never laid a brick in my life. How do I do it? YouTube. So I didn't read books. I read YouTube videos, and that's how they do it. So then I went and set about doing it. So if I'm doing any mechanics on a car or a bike, I use YouTube. Yeah. So I absorb my information much easier if I see someone physically doing something.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah.
So I think it's identifying the needs of the individual or collective, and teach. But that needs someone with more expertise to do that. But don't just try and teach them all the same way, because they don't learn all the same way, do they?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but there's a lot to go at. There's a lot to achieve.
Exciting though.
Yeah, really exciting. So I'm trying to be quite focused on, I'm doing this and then I'm doing that, and then because otherwise, as an entrepreneur and as a dyslexic, it's quite easy to go, oh, that looks great. Let's go and do that. Oh, that looks great, and you never get anywhere. So I'm trying to be really, really focused in just doing X, Y, and Z in order, if I can do it that way. So yeah.
Great. If you had the opportunity to speak to the 20-year-old you, what would you say?
I'd say it's going to be a shit ride, but get on with it. Yeah, true.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, stick in there. Yeah. I would. Because someone asked me a few weeks ago, there's various things that happened, and said, would you change that? Would you go back and change that? And I go, no, because if that hadn't happened, or that hadn't happened, or that happened, I wouldn't be me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say, keep on going, kid. It's going to be a tough ride, but strap in, buckle up.
Yeah, that kind of came up earlier in conversation about the whole sliding doors scenario.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's loads of examples,
Uh-huh.
There's loads of examples.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go through some if you want. But yeah, there's these sliding door moments where things. Do you want to go through one?
Go for it. Yeah.
You know, like I've been married twice, and we met my wife Sandra, and I could have gone to Holland 18 months before, and I didn't go. I was married, so married and everything there, and I didn't go. Gutted I couldn't go. 18 months later, I was not married, or was separated, and then I went over, met Sandra quite a few months later, and whatever. I was over there, and the rest is history. So there's things that can happen, and the one where I could have been in, spoke about the one where I could have been in London. So I was gutted because I wanted to go to London for the day, wanted to go and go see sightseeing because we was at a big awards dinner at the evening. So I thought I'm going to have a day in London, meet all the other managers down there. We'll go to the awards. It could be a fantastic day. And my boss phoned me, said, "Oh, we need to have a meeting in the morning." I was gutted. So I was ruining my plans, my days. I was going to be in London. I was going to have a really good time. Blah blah blah. And it was 7/7 when the London bombings went.
Wow.
So I'm not saying I would have been on that tube, but I worked out what time I was going to go down there, and there was a high probability I would have been in and around the tube.
Oof, that's scary.
And it's like you never know what's going to happen to you. You don't know what's going to happen at all.
Yeah, exactly. Scary. Okay, if you could change anything in the world, what would it be and why?
I don't know. Yeah, that's. I mean, I've often thought about. I'd like people. One thing that I think is really, apart from the dyslexia, one thing that I think is a travesty is there's a child somewhere that can't even get that. And I know there's more stuff, and when you fix that problem, there's another problem. But for goodness sake, in this century, there's kids that are drinking contaminated water. I mean, that doesn't make sense, does it? And then we're all worried about, do you know what I mean? Some price of something's gone up, and we might not be able to afford that now, and petrol's gone up a bit. There's kids scratching around in the dust trying to get a drink, and it's just that for me. I think it's criminal, but it's not for me to change. And I've got my own mission, but I think that is criminal. Really do. I think it's sad.
It is sad. It is, given the resources and the abundance that we have in the world.
Well, there's been some reports recently. There's the 8 wealthiest people in the world are more wealthy than the rest of the planet, or something ridiculous. I don't know. I can't think what the figures are now. But do you know what I mean?
Yes.
The more wealthy, their wealth is more than the rest of the planet. 8 people.
Yeah.
Go and put some tanks in Africa or something. You know what I mean?
I know.
Well, then there's corruption in this, so you do something and someone to take it away. So I don't know. Yeah. Well, that's the one thing that I think doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, Kirk, we're at the end.
Wow.
That's I've had a fantastic time speaking with you.
Yeah.
I appreciate so much your honesty and your candour. And with your blessing, I'd like to keep in the emotional parts, because I believe that shows the real, authentic article. And if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And I think you're absolutely entitled to feel the way you feel.
Yeah. I do get upset. I'm an emotional person.
That's okay. And that in itself is inspiring. And I wish you all the best on your mission.
Thank you.
I think if there's anything I can do to help, and I will do what I can to get this message out there on your behalf.
I appreciate these people like you that really help, and this is what it's all about. So thank you very much.
You're absolutely welcome, Kirk. Thanks for being on.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you for taking the time to watch Inspired Edinburgh. If you enjoyed watching this video, I'd really appreciate if you'd like and share it. You can also sign up to our mailing list and social media channels using the details coming up on your screen now. If you have any feedback or suggestions, please feel free to comment. Until next time, reconnect with your purpose and inspire others.